Hey everybody, welcome to Featured Employer Friday. I'm very excited for this week's employer. This is Vert Digital. We're very excited to have Vert here, have a long history with Oglethorpe and been engaged with us in a lot of different ways. And I'm very excited just to share give a chance for our speakers to introduce themselves. You may recognize one of these faces who's been on campus kind of recently. But first, I'll just say my name is Erin Sherrill. I'm the Director for Career Development. Featured Employer Friday is a career development program where we bring employers to the campus space so they can share information about jobs and internships that they're promoting to Oglethorpe students and give you a little bit of insider information on what you need to do to apply, tips for success, and share a bit about company culture and things that they do. So very happy to have Vert Digital here. Let's go ahead and start with Debbie Aiken. If you could introduce yourself, your role, and maybe share with the group a little bit about your relationship with Oglethorpe.
Of course. Thank you, Erin. My name is Debbie Aiken. As you can tell from my name here in the webinar, I'm a 2012 graduate of Oglethorpe in our adult degree program. And I'm also wearing my Oglethorpe polo because I worked at Oglethorpe for almost 10 years in University Communications and the Office of Admission. And recently moved over to Vert Digital. Very exciting place to be. And now I am the head of people and a new role created over there. So I'm in charge of hiring, most importantly, which is why we're here today. I'm in charge of keeping our job listings updated, talking to every single person that is considered for a job, and making sure we find the right candidates. And I'm also happy to be joined here today by my colleague, Matt Rogers. So I'll let him introduce himself.
So I'm Matt Rogers. I did not graduate from or work for Oglethorpe, but a little bit, I guess, in like a client capacity. But currently I'm the digital media supervisor here at Vert Digital. So basically what that means is leading the media team, both from a people perspective, but also looking at platforms like Facebook, Google, YouTube, anything that you view media on through a digital screen, and finding opportunities for us to advertise on behalf of our clients.
Very cool, thank you. So, and either of you can kind of chime in. Could you give us a little bit of information about what Vert is? Who do you serve? What kind of product or service do you provide? And going into a little bit more detail, expanding on what you were just kind of touching on, Matt.
Sure. So we are a smaller digital first agency. So digital first meaning we focus primarily on all like digital screens. So not so much on the traditional sense currently with like things like traditional or magazines or anything like that. So we buy and serve media on those platforms. We also develop creative for those platforms. So we have a creative team. So thinking about designing ads or brainstorming like creative direction to go for a client campaign. We also have a phenomenal dev department. So building websites, building HTML ads, front end and back end, but really full service in the digital sense. So in synopsis, we are a great advertising agency that focuses on what we call mid-market size clients. So thinking not the Apples, but also we actually just used this metaphor yesterday, also not just like your local grocer. So thinking local to semi-national size clients, multiple locations, multi-million-dollar ad budgets. That's usually our primary clientele. Debbie, I didn't know if you had anything else to add there.
No, that was a great summary. I think the only thing I'll add is that we like to say at Vert that we sit at the intersection of data and creativity. Kind of a nice way to frame the work that we do. Creative, innovative work, but always backed by data. And we have about 40 employees. So as Matt said, fairly small for a marketing advertising agency, but we're growing very quickly. We've got openings, about a dozen of them right now. Lots of exciting growth at Vert, and several of them are entry-level positions. So I think that's what we were hoping to chat about here today.
Perfect segue, Debbie, because that's my next question. Can you tell us a little bit about the positions you have available at Vert, particularly highlighting the things that our current or recent grads might be most interested in checking out?
Yeah, of course. So we have two positions that we wanted to focus on today that are entry level-ish positions. And so I will talk about one of them that is email and CRM coordinator. And then the second position is a paid media coordinator, and Matt is gonna chat about that one. So firstly, with the email and CRM coordinator, I can kind of put this all in layman's terms. A CRM is customer relationship management. So basically it's a system that we use on behalf of our clients, and our clients use to manage a relationship they have with their customers. So basically a big database where we can send emails, is what this, in this context, how it relates. So this position, the email and CRM coordinator, will be on a small but growing team of 4 people currently. That the team is ACRM, which stands for Analytics and CRM. And so this team focuses on building those comprehensive email marketing campaigns for our clients, and also building dashboards to help translate the data that our media team gets for our clients into pretty to look at, easy to understand visual dashboard. So this position, to get to the cut to the chase here, will be building building these strategic email campaigns, putting them in the platforms, and then executing them, following up on them to make sure everything's happening as it should be, making adjustments as needed, and then reporting on them when the campaign is finished. So that's kind of a general overview of it, and I'll let Matt chat a little bit more about paid media coordinator, and add anything else that I might have missed with that first one.
So paid media coordinator, essentially what we're looking for is someone who loves data and loves to solve mysteries in data. So it's twofold. So this position will be on the media team, which is a team of currently 10. And they'll be working across multiple clients and really taking a media plan, or what we would want to do, and making it actually happen. So they'd be working in platforms and actually pushing the ads live. When I first started in my career, I thought it was so cool to just like log on to Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or wherever and to see an ad that you placed actually live in the marketplace. So that's definitely a huge part of the role. But the second part is once the ad is live, figuring out and answering the question of why. So to go back to the dashboards that Debbie was alluding to, we can obviously provide the client like hard data, but it's taking a look at that data and figuring out why that data is the way it is, or how we can continue to improve those campaigns. So are we reaching the right people? Are we reaching them at the right time? Are we serving the right message? All those answers can be found in data. So someone who's very comfortable in Excel or Google Sheets and loves just solving those mysteries is someone who we're looking for.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm hearing some skills pop out here. So both positions kind of have a focus on data and reporting back on data. But of course, those Excel skills are shining through in the position you were talking about, Matt. I'm wondering what other skills are going to be really beneficial for students to highlight as they work on putting together their resumes and cover letters for these positions.
I would say in any industry or any agency position is going to be communication. So being able to showcase either on a resume or through an interview that you're a strong communicator, that you don't have any issues necessarily talking to a client. So it tends to be like the most pressure filled time if you're working in an agency when you're talking to a client, just because all eyes are on you. But someone who's comfortable speaking to the learnings and comfortable in that questions coming their way pretty consistently. Also someone who's very comfortable with change. We have 5 core values at Vert. One of them is flow with the go. And I know it's typically go with the flow, but we did that purposefully. So you're just not taking it in stride. You're also thinking as you do it. But someone who's comfortable with change, because we work in a fast-paced environment. So things change all the time. Clients change their mind all the time. And data will change the direction that we go all the time. So someone who's comfortable just putting a project on pause and just saying, okay, we need to shift gears, and then adapting and moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Matt. I would add working with others, working with a team, or working on a team that works with another team. There's lots of opportunities for that in college. And that's a lot of how agencies work. Most people are on a team that has a focus, but there's lots of collaboration, lots of working with other people. Each team has their role that they play to all work on this big project together and deliver for the client. So that is definitely good. And yeah, Matt, one thing that I thought of while you were talking was, I know Oglethorpe offers like the opportunity to practice interviews, mock interviews and stuff like that. That is a really great opportunity to just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and get comfortable with that. Because a lot of our positions, a lot of agency positions in general, are client facing in some capacity. And that can, like Matt was saying, it can be really scary. So being able to learn how to control yourself when you get in those nervous situations and be confident, even if you're a little bit terrified. And of course, if you're still in college, looking for agency internships is a great way. Even if you, sorry, hello, you can see my kitty behind me. Even if you do the internship and decide, well, I'm not really sure that's for me, it's a great opportunity to get exposed to a bunch of different areas, and great to put on your resume.
Amazing advice, Debbie. Spoken like someone who's pretty familiar with the career development office. So I want to just take this little opportunity to plug a couple of opportunities for students in the future to engage in some of the things Debbie mentioned. So, mock interviews, definitely programming that we run pretty much every semester. So you can expect an opportunity for mock interviews and resume reviews in the spring. And also keep an eye out for Career Connections, which is a great chance to connect with alumni in a flash mentoring kind of capacity. Tend to be high profile individuals that you feel a little pressure around and want to impress, and are available to help you kind of think about what the future of career might look like for you. So great advice, Debbie, on that regard. And thanks both for sharing skills that are really critical to these roles. I'm curious to know if you could talk a little bit about, Matt, you started to mention the core values and shared a little bit of that. I'm wondering what makes Vert stand out among other employers? Why are you growing so fast? Why do people love coming to Vert? And what kind of information can you share with students as they consider their employer options?
Definitely. We get the question a lot of like, why Vert over other agencies? And the typical answer you're going to hear no matter where you go is the people. But I think at Vert, it's true. It's both the people that you work with on a day-to-day on your team, but it's also our leadership. So It was founded by three guys 12 years ago. They're still in charge of everything, have a touch on what's going on in the day-to-day, and they really care about the employees. Actually, yesterday we had almost a day off that we call Vertsgiving. So we came in and had a potluck Thanksgiving, and they shared with us being really transparent in the revenue and what it takes for us to grow, and really being part of that process. So Vert really does invest in its employees. They have a continuing education program, which is now mandatory. So they're essentially encouraging you to go take an additional course or learn something, whether it's a skill set like Google, or something like a soft skill like delegation. Just allowing you to choose something that you're interested in, and they will fund you taking the company time to actually go do that. So they really do invest in people, and then the people that you work with every day are great. It's one of our values is also trust the team and trusting your teammates, and it really does shine through the entire agency.
Yeah, I can add on to that, Matt. That's a great summary. I agree with everything you said. And I was, as I said, I've only been at Vert a few months, but I was impressed with the level of transparency. It's a little surprising. They really do from day one. It's you're part of the team, you're part of the growth, and you need to know what's happening behind the scenes, so you can do your job better. So it's a really exciting way to really learn about the inner workings of an agency. And there's a line that we have in all of our job descriptions that says we are a vibrant, non-competitive, friendly, and respectful culture and environment. And I think that's so important because lots of agencies can be competitive. And Vert is just not that way at all. It really is. We have a strong culture, and I worked with Vert the whole time I was at Oglethorpe for almost 10 years. So I knew them very well. It was a no-brainer for me when the opportunity came up to go work for Vert. And so it's been it's really, the culture is a big part of it, but also learning, really getting the opportunity to learn about how an agency works.
Thank you. And I love the mention of the continued education, the continued learning, and the support that Vert gives their staff to continue doing that. That's one of the things that we see from many employers that are really important to them, that they want to hire people who are lifelong learners. And so building in support and resources to cater to that is a great benefit. So we have a question in the chat. So in relation to these two positions, what's the expectation for the work modality? Is this going to be in-person, hybrid, virtual? I think these are both full-time positions, correct? Can you just clarify that for me and go for it.
Both full-time. And Debbie, you can clarify the ACRM role if it's different. But on the media side, again, full-time. Right now we are taking a hybrid approach, so there are no mandatory days you have to come in the office. It's encouraged if you would like to, but there's no reason to. I'm working at home. I love working at home, so I end up working at home more often than I am in office, and the pressure for this individual to come in would not be there. There are a few days that we would ask that you come in a few times a year for client meetings or things like that, but for the most part, up to you. We actually have two individuals who aren't even in Georgia currently. One is in Montana and one is in Denver. And they have adjusted their schedules to make sure that they can work from home and keep working. So they were able to make that move during the pandemic, and we haven't seen any issues. So we're not fully remote. I don't think we'll ever be fully remote, but it is very, very flexible.
Yeah, yes, check. I agree with all of that. And because here we are in November of 2021, the health situation is still a little unstable. So we're not requiring anybody to come to the office, but the office is open and anybody's welcome to work there. I was there a couple days this week, as we're on any given day, we have maybe 10 people in the office. but we don't require anybody to come in at this point. When things are back to normal, the expectation would be that everybody would come to the office at least 2 days a week. So moving forward, we will still definitely have work from home, as part of a long-term plan. But we would expect people to come in the office a couple of days a week, just because we know how important it is to have face-to-face time and have those casual conversations. That's one of the ways that we have built such a strong culture, is from being in the same room as our coworkers. Yeah.
And a quick follow-up to that, I'm curious about what interview looks like now. Are the interviews happening in person, or are they virtual interviews, or both?
Sure. So typically, I can just kind of give you an overview of the interview process. The first phase of interviewing is phone interviews, which I conduct 100% of them. And then I work closely with the hiring manager. So for the paid media coordinator role, I'd be working closely with to identify a handful of folks to bring in for what would usually be an in-person interview, but we're doing them virtually. So it would be a virtual face-to-face meeting we use Google Meet with the hiring manager and usually 2 or 3 other people from the team as well. And then typically from there, from that phase 2 round of interviews, we're able to make a job offer and move forward. Sometimes it's not uncommon for us to have a third interview with once we narrow it down to our top couple candidates. Sometimes there is a skills assessment, which varies by position, but it's usually a short, very short project, something that should not take a whole lot of time. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, but just something that shows that our candidates can demonstrate the type of work that they would be jumping right into and completing from the start.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm going to make one more quick plug real quick. Something the career development team has been working hard on this semester is the creation of a virtual interview space, and that is just about complete. So students will be able to contact career development to reserve time if needed for all these virtual interviews that have been going on. We've got all the gear you would need in that space. So definitely give us, send over an email or check in with us if that's something that you need for the big interview you up. So, okay, getting down to, I think, the end of our questions here. Wondering if you could just share a little bit about how students should apply for these positions and where should they go for some more information if they're watching this after the fact.
Sure, this is an easy one that all the jobs are listed on our website, vertdigital.com. And there's a team page, and then there's a section in there for all of our open positions. Any questions that aren't answered in the job description can be sent directly to me via email. My email is just my first name, Debbie, at vertdigital.com. And I'm happy to clarify any questions that you have. But we do a really good job with our job descriptions, I think. So you should be able to get a pretty good idea of what to expect from looking at those. And then, yeah, you can apply through our website.
That sounds great. Are there any final thoughts, closing tips, bits of advice, words of wisdom you would love to share with our students?
Not that I can think of. I'll just add, when I was in school, I didn't think I would end up in advertising, and I kind of fell into it, and I love it. And I think that's the story for a lot of people that are working in the industry. It's kind of like a didn't think about it until I got here type situation, but one that I would highly recommend that you research.
I also did not expect to be working for a marketing agency, but obviously I love it. And I would say my advice would be internships are great. Do as many as you can reasonably with the other things you're balancing, because each of them teaches you something, even if it's, I definitely don't want to do that. And then the other piece of advice I would have is take advantage of everything Career Services has. They have so many good resources and events and services for you that really, really could help prepare you for what comes next in your professional development.
Hear, hear. Thank you both for that. And I think both really amazing pieces of advice for students to think about. Just the way people change and move through career is totally different from where our parents and our parents' parents were. So definitely an interesting time, and I appreciate the plugs for sure. Students check out Handshake for all of our upcoming programming. What's left for this fall semester, and then also what happens in the spring. So thank you so much, Debbie and Matt, for your time today. This has been really, really great. It's been a joy sharing Vert Digital with our students, and we look forward to hearing about the many students who will apply for these positions and hopefully get hired. All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you.